I went through a painful divorce, and it was it wasn't though it was the divorce at the time I did not want. And it was full of betrayal. And at that point, my athletic career was on the up and business was going great. I was happy, loving my life. But my whole world fell apart personally. So from the outside in, it looked like I was just crushing it and things were going well. And I was devastated. I mean, the way that I was living and how I was having to continue to persevere through the darkness and the pain. And fitness actually became my light.
All right, Ryall, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You know, so many times when I do these shows and I chatted up with the guest before, it's like we do the podcast before the podcast. So we just chatted up for like 10, 15 minutes already, and I was learning more about you and learning about your story, and I'm super excited to have you here. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to share your story with the listeners out there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I can't wait to drop some value bombs on your listeners.
Yes. So you're tuning in from Cancun, Mexico right now. Tell us what Cancun is like right now during this whole COVID-19 deal.
Yeah, it's just actually kind of heightened here in the last couple weeks, Ross. We are in phase 3, and it has actually gotten, like, you have to be wearing your masks in the car. The police are stopping people. Beaches have been closed for 6 weeks. So numbers I feel are still quite low for considering the population of Mexico, but we are everybody's at home. So really similar. We're not opening up. Like, I know some states in the US are opening up, not us yet, but this has been an incredible opportunity for all of us to grow and learn. And I think that's certainly what I've been doing. I've been really trying to connect with more people and help more people during this time, especially in the fitness and nutrition industry. Nobody wants to come out of COVID, 30 pounds overweight. So
agree. I absolutely agree. And it's easy to do that, right? Because everything is closed. In fact, I just saw somebody on Instagram post their local gym opened up, and now you have to actually reserve a workout slot. You can't just walk in right now. Right, you gotta you gotta reserve it. But it's interesting though, Ryall, that you're in Cancun, being such a touristy area. I mean, Cancun literally thrives on tourists, and I can only imagine like they just must be getting nailed right now.
Yes,
with everything closed, the resorts are closed, beaches are closed. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's really actually been that aspect's been really sad, Ross, and really upsetting for me too. I mean, we've all suffered to some degree, right? But when, the over 75% of the economy here is tourist based, and every single hotel right now is shut. Every beach hotel shut down, and employees literally sent home. And it's at the discretion of the hotel, whether they're paying, or the restaurant or the bar, right? Think about the greater aspect of all of this, all the transportation, tours, the airport, everything has been impacted in the economy, specifically here when it's so heavy tourism based, which is true for all the Caribbean as well. I mean, the Caribbean's just taking a huge hit to get cruise ships back in. This is going to be a long journey back, long journey back.
Absolutely. Now, Ryall, for the people that aren't familiar with you or your work, would you mind to give us a brief overview of what you've been able to accomplish over the years?
Yeah. Do you want me to start with my professional athletic career?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it from the start. I just said to Ross, I said, I started at the bottom and I finished at the top, and then I launched into being a full-time entrepreneur. So, my brief story, I'll try to keep this brief, and then I know Ross will dig in on this. But in 2007, I was in a thankless career. I was working full-time as a dental hygienist. This was not my passion, was cleaning garbage off people's teeth. And I knew I had some amazing gifts to share with the world. And I decided to embark on a personal quest to be my best, and I competed in my first ever fitness competition, which was fitness, nutrition, wellness. I was always extremely passionate about that field, but it was like, how could I actually earn an income and travel and do all the things that I wanted to do in my life if I didn't have a good career? And remember, this is a long time ago. This was, over a decade, 15 years ago. And I went for it. I won that very first year. I earned my professional athlete status with the IFBB, which in fitness, that's the biggest federation, the only really recognized federation in the world. So I was considered now an IFBB fitness pro, and I was only 100 pounds. I was a little peanut. I had lost like 20 pounds to get on stage, and it was time to just do this. Like, my whole world was ignited with this new interest and new passion. And all of a sudden, dental hygiene I knew right away, like, this was not what I wanted to do. So I actually transitioned out of dental hygiene and decided to pursue an athletic career. And I wanted to do some work in the fitness and wellness space. And I wasn't sure exactly at that point what it was. So I just kind of dove in. I was Canadian, working in Bermuda at the time when this transition happened. So obviously, like, you can't be living on one of the world's most expensive islands and not have an income. So, but I did it. I had $10,000 saved, and I had a few clients, and I just started to build and grow. So fast forward 2007, fast forward to 2019. Literally over a decade later, and I finished at the top. Last year, I won the two largest competitions in our fitness in the industry, the Arnold Sports US and back-to-back with Australia. And for me, that was the pinnacle, and that was so much. It wasn't about me and what could I achieve. It was about now this impact that I felt I had the opportunity to make. About 5 years into my journey, it wasn't so much about me. Like, at first I was very motivated with like, wow, what can I do to my body and how hard can I push myself? And let's see what I can achieve. And then I started to impact and motivate and inspire other people. And that's been the greatest part of my success, Ross, is actually being able to provide not just the motivation, inspiration, but the tools and the strategies, and to share from my experiences, starting literally at the bottom to finishing at the top, standing on the world's greatest stage with Schwarzenegger, having a conversation. And it was a magic moment for me. So now I've transitioned. I've retired 45 professional competitions over a decade. I've competed on every single continent in the world. And I've retired at the top, and have now pursued my entrepreneurship full time versus part time, and then competing, like training 25 hours a week.
Wow, that's quite the journey. That's quite the journey. Let's dive into it, right? Because so you said that, was it this past year that you won the largest competition of your career?
Yes, okay. Correct.
And that was the Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Yes, Arnold. Every year, for the viewers that don't know, every year, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger does like the Arnold Classic in Ohio, right?
In Ohio, you got it.
Which was canceled this year, right?
They did have the professional competition, but they canceled the entire expo and the entire event. It was devastating. That was the start of kind of COVID coming in. Right. But it's the world's largest health and fitness event globally. The expo is incredible. Every single exhibitor that wants to share a product or education or supplements, I mean, you see it all there, and it's just all the fans. It's a really magic experience.
Awesome. So you won that last year, but you got started in the fitness industry back in 2007.
Correct.
Is that right?
That was the year I actually earned or won my professional
So
status.
we're talking 13 years to
Yes.
win the largest competition, right? So for the listeners out there, success is not an overnight thing, right? It takes years of grind and hustle, and I'm sure that was a goal of yours when you first got started. Like, I want to win the biggest event of the year in my career, and you made it happen.
Totally. I was always a dreamer. I was a doer. I was never afraid to work hard. I love hard work. And there's no better project to invest in and work on than yourself, right? So this was an exciting time. But I was also very realistic, and I would set these, smaller goals. That was my whole strategy, was every single year, I would hold myself accountable at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Where do I want to be at the end of this year? And then, the goals and the dreams just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was the goal at the end, but it was sort of more like could you imagine if I could ever finish at the top? Like, if I could be, like, I remember in 2005 sitting in the audience at the Arnold watching the athletes and being like, I want to do this, I want to do this someday. And that's how all of our ideas start, right? All of our big, great achievements start with that idea or that dream, that believing. Right. And you got to just run with it. You've got to stay that consistency of, it's the marathon, not the sprint, and staying focused on the long-term vision.
I love it. Absolutely. Consistency is really the key. I tell all new and aspiring entrepreneurs, if you're not going to be consistent, just don't even waste your time, because you're going to get smoked in business, right? Because you have to play the long-term game, right? You have to play the long-term game.
You couldn't have said that. It's so true. And I think we're all anyone who's an entrepreneur, I mean, that passion, right? We're passion-filled, purpose-filled people. And I think also we're all overachievers. So you can't drown yourself in that half glass of water. That's with achieving anything. Set those small goals, have the big vision, have the big path, dream big, get uncomfortable with where you want to go. Like I always said that too, like the thought of me stepping on the Arnold stage as the winner, let alone just stepping on the Arnold stage, that was uncomfortable, right? And that's what it's about, is you got to get uncomfortable, embrace the discomfort, and set those baby steps. That was definitely it's one of my strategies now that I implement with my online clients, my one-on-one clients, is helping them put a plan in action. And everybody goes way too, you think too big, in the sense of not that it's not a good thing to think big. When you're planning, right, you need to plan simple, small steps to achieve greatness.
I love it. Great advice right there. So, Ryall, let's take it back, right? Because you said that you were working as a dental hygienist, which is not something that you wanted to do. I'm sure you were just doing it for income purposes, right, to have a career. But how did you land into that field, right? I mean, dental, like, not everybody just goes into the dental industry. Like, how did that come about?
Right. I was science passionate. And as soon as I graduated, that was what I chose, the field I chose to go into. So I started on a science degree and then applied into dental hygiene. And I was a hygienist for almost 7 years, like nearly 7 years. And it was actually like the first handful of years I really did enjoy it, many aspects of it. And then I started to learn and grow as a person and travel. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many other things in life that I actually want to do. And then my career just didn't spark that fire in my belly anymore. And it just actually signing up and committing to the fitness competition, I dove all into it, right? And then the outcome of that, it literally launched me into, like, now my greatest passion and my gift. And I think that's also, again, a lot of people I coach are in thankless careers. And I've actually inspired many of them and helped many of them get into careers they're far more passionate about. And I think we have to listen to that. I feel like in North America, the Canadian American way, as you're being raised, your parents pressure you a lot. Like, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? Who are you going to be when you grow up? Right. And how are we defining who are we going to be by our careers, right? And I mean, in Mexico, it's quite different. There's a lot of people that are extremely more passionate about their careers, and now it's happening, right? Look at you. Look at, like, all of us have transitioned. Well, we're starting to transition more towards passion, purpose-filled careers. And hey, you can do this. You can, like, really have 6-7 figure incomes following your bliss.
Absolutely. Life is whatever you want it to be, right? Just because you go down one career path doesn't mean you have to stay in that career path forever, right? Like, that career path doesn't have to define you. You can change at any time, any point, and you're living proof of that, right? That you can, just like that, change it up and do something that you enjoy doing more, right? Because in life, nobody should ever do anything that they don't enjoy doing, right? Because life wouldn't be exciting and fun, and it would suck waking up to go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
But I am curious, speaking with the former dental hygienist, what was the worst part of that career field?
I would say it's that pressure, depending on where you were working. Like, different dentists had different philosophies, but it was a high pressure job in the sense of the value you brought to your practice, your dental practice, was based on not necessarily the quality of the work that you did, but how much money were you earning for the dentist at the end of the day. And I know we all need to earn money, we all need to make an income, but that's where, for me, it started to become really thankless, because I was a next level hygienist. I mean, whatever I'm doing in life, I'm going to be the best at it. That's my thing. I'm going to, like, study. I'm going to go take extra courses. I had surgical experience. I had anesthetic experience, and it just, like, it wasn't really valued. And it was starting to feel thankless in that I was working in a factory, and I could have just put my head in the sand like an ostrich. And maybe some of the people that are listening right now are in those types of careers, and you have a greater gift, and you have something greater to bring to the world, and you've got to follow that. Like, life is way too short. You don't need, again, if you're someone who's ready to define initially your success based on happiness versus income, because the income will come, I promise you that, if you're following your passion and you're good at what you do. But for me, initially, I was so unhappy in my career, and that moved me out of it. That was the first thing. Is I had like I said, only $10,000 saved, and I took this massive plunge, but I was so much happier because I was living a purpose-filled career. I was my own boss. I was helping people crush fitness goals, live healthier lives. I was hooked. Like, I was so addicted to what I had done. And there were months where I struggled. Obviously, there were many months. As entrepreneurs, I think we all do. And if we didn't have the struggle, we wouldn't be where we are today either.
Absolutely. So at what point from when you quit your job as a dental hygienist, did you start earning money in the fitness industry?
As a professional athlete, many years. Women in professional athletics are paid far less, as you know, and also in the type of...
I don't know, by the way.
Oh, you didn't know?
No,
okay.
No.
Okay.
Tell us.
Well, there's some great movements happening, right? And we're seeing more female coaches professionally, right? With NBA, for example, we're seeing things like that. And women in sport are being paid more and more money. Abby Wambach is a great movement for that. But in my particular sport, when I first got started, at the top of the top, the men might win $400,000 US at the top, and the women are paid, $20,000. So there's a massive, it's messed up, a massive discrepancy. Now things are changing. There's some movement in our division, our sport particularly, which is great for women, where they're starting to have to level out the playing field because women are starting to speak up. We're selling more tickets than the men. The men are coming to see the women too, and not having that respect within the industry. So as a professional athlete, there was no income earned until, oh my gosh, year 7, maybe, I want to say. It was all spend. If you want to compete in Germany, you have to fly yourself to Germany, or you have a sponsor that kicks in a little bit, but you have to start somewhere with even to be recognized by a sponsor, right? You can't just expect all of these things. And then I had my plan to transition into, having my own business in the fitness industry, which started as personal training, nutrition. I had studied, I had all my certifications when I was a hygienist. I was doing all of this. So I started earning just a small amount of money with having a handful of clients and then training myself. My job would be from 9 to 11 in the morning. I would get up, I would go to the gym and train. And then I had work, I had my clients that I was managing and juggling. So I took, a massive pay cut, but then I noticed that happy factor, right? All of a sudden I'm like, I don't care anymore about this. Like, this is all going to come together. I'm going to work hard. I have faith in this, but, my happiness is through the roof right now. I love what I'm doing. And that spread like wildfire. That's the thing, is if you're passionate about what you're doing and you're really focused on those client-centered relationships, people like talk about you and how amazing you are. I mean, when I was living in Bermuda, that's what happened. And then I moved actually after that to Barbados, and I started helping primarily women get into like rock in shape, and like their husbands, right? Their husbands and it was amazing because people would come up to me and say, you're that girl that helped so-and-so. Oh my gosh, like, here, can you give me a call? I'd love to speak to you. And it just started it grew. I mean, it was within 4 years, and I had a client base of 90
Wow,
people.
That's incredible.
But it was all just, it was my heart work, my heart. I had the paper experience on paper, and then looking at now, Ross, my coaching, it's so, my experiences have been literally dripped into every single client that I coach. And I think a lot of people now, they work with me not because of my credentials. They work with me on paper. They work with me because they know I've been where they want to go, and I know how to get them there. And that's been just incredibly powerful. I'm so thankful that I jumped in. And I think we all need to think like that. If you're an entrepreneur listening to this, I hope that really resonated. That's a value bomb right there. I wish I would have knew that sooner, Ross, in my career, if I would have embraced sooner all of those. And I was learning as I went, but I was really hard on myself. Like, I wanted it faster. Every single day is that opportunity to learn and grow, and that's going to impact, right, the next step for you. So it's incredibly valuable to actually go through the experiences yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that expands to all industries. You got to hire a coach, like, point blank period. If you want to get on the fast track to success, you want to make millions of dollars, you have to have a coach, right? The most successful people in the world have coaches, and you need to have a coach as well. And a lot of people think that they're exempt, right? They want to learn the hard way. They want to go to school of hard knocks. And unfortunately for those type of people, it takes 10 times the amount of time to get to where they want to go than just getting on that fast track.
Yeah.
So for all the listeners
Amen.
out there, hire a coach, right? Hire a coach, somebody to hold you accountable. Now, Ryall,
totally.
I'm very interested and intrigued by the amount of places that you've lived, right? So I want to talk about that a little bit. How did you go from living in Canada, right? By the way, shout out to Canada. Much love for Canada. What city in Canada?
Canadian listeners. I was in Alberta.
Okay.
Spent time between northern Alberta, where I was born in Grand Prairie, and then I studied and worked as a hygienist in Calgary.
Okay.
The mountains, mountain city.
Much love to the Canadians. So how do you go from living in Canada to living in Bermuda, right? Two very, very different places.
Totally. Again, started with a dream and realized I wasn't happy. I was living, I mean, nothing against Canada. I'm so proud to be Canadian. And when I go home, I love to be in Canada in the summertime. I was not a winter person, and it was actually starting to really impact the quality of my life, my mood, my ability. I love to be active, obviously with fitness, and I would like want to hibernate in the winters. So I started taking contract dental work. Like a woman would go on maternity leave for 9 months. I would fill her job, and then I would literally take off for like 6 months and go travel and then come back and do this all again. And I finally was like, that's it. What am I doing? I need to get out of here. Like, this is not working. Like, just identifying that I'm not a tree. I'm not stuck in the ground. Like, why am I coming back? And then like, why do I feel like I'm stuck? So I took a plunge, and I did take a job as a dental hygienist for my first move. And I was they facilitated all my immigration requirements, my work permit. They found me a place to live. So anyone considering that, it's really a lot easier to go over. Don't just, go over and, not have something lined up. That took a lot of the stress off. But that also started the whole movement. Dental hygiene was not as lucrative in Bermuda as it was in Alberta. Like I lost over 50% of my income to make that move. But again, that was part of it. That was like part of the boldness of me saying, what's more important to me, that I'm pursuing the quality of life that I want, I'm not defining my success by the dollars in my bank account.
Right. So what was it like moving to a completely new country?
Well, we were just chatting. You've been to Bermuda, the beautiful, pristine island of Bermuda. I mean, it was absolutely it was the most exhilarating thing at that time I'd ever done. I was 26 years old. So big move from a small town Alberta girl. I grew up in a community of like 2,500 people and took this big, bold move. And that was it. Ross ignited, never looked back. Bermuda was a great first move for me or anyone considering jumping over, if you want to move somewhere that has a huge expat community. So you jump into Dubai, or you jump into Bermuda, like Zurich, Switzerland as well. Like, there's some places that really they have a high percentage of their population are expats that come in and take jobs, and you immediately meet and network, and there's people there from all over the world. So I was like the yes girl. I didn't say no to anything. I just started making all kinds of friends and jumping in, and that's where that ignited. Actually, I hired every coach I could in the fitness industry, every coach I needed, and I started training for that first competition there because it was just all the perfect opportunity.
So no fear at all, right? No fear, because most people moving to a new country, I mean, there has to be a little bit of fear, like you don't know anyone, you don't know where to go get groceries, right? Or where, like, were any of those thoughts going through your head, or you didn't care at the time? Or I'm just so curious. Like,
no, big time. I think fear is something I talk about so much, and I coach my clients through fear. Fear stops a lot of us. It certainly had stopped me as well in life. And I think you get to that point where, like, for me, there were risks. I knew that. And there was that element of me that was like afraid, but the thought of what was on the other side of it was far greater than all of those things. What's the worst thing that happens? I come home, I'd come back. I lose some money, it was a big deal. Cause when I went over there, I actually sold my car. I was living a good life in Canada as a full-time dental hygienist. I packed up everything I owned, went into 4 hockey bags, and I moved. That was it. But that was it. I never went back. And I think it's important. That was that was the start for me of realizing what's on the other side of fear was the best thing I had ever done. And that started the movement for me of like everything, every single decision that I make in my life now was actually based off that first move at such a young age.
Yeah, it's really bold, you know. And I envy that you're, that bold to just move to a new country, right? Because not many people would be willing to do that for their dreams and their passion, and which is very, very admirable. Now, after Bermuda, you said that you went to Barbados, and I know that you've lived in other countries. How many countries have you actually lived in?
I've lived in 4 countries. I've traveled to 64 countries. I was on a quest to hit 100 before I turned 40. That was the goal. But 64, I feel incredibly blessed with that. I decided to not purchase property. I decided to not get into like a ton of financial commitments, that my finances were going to go towards travel and adventure and personal growth and discovery. And it's just been like the most valuable experiences that I could have ever had have been doing traveling, seeing the world. I really, we're not trees. And I mean, I have to say that again, because I think we all get into our lives and our bubbles and our financial obligations. And I get it. Now I did purchase a home. I have my company here in Cancun. So now I do have other financial obligations where I have to think about things. I can't just jump on a plane for 3 months. I have to think about the mortgage and the expenses. So I really encourage like every single person. I know a lot of Americans and Canadians don't have passports. Like, get the passport and just go for it.
Yeah. The passport for me, I got my first passport like 2 years ago, and I don't know why I never had one before, but it's such an easy process, right? I made it to be like this big deal. And it was like I went to a library, they had me fill out paperwork, and then it came in the mail like 2 weeks later. I was like, now I can travel,
And you've got it. And so many people in the world can't even leave their countries, Ross, let alone being an American or being a Canadian, like, we don't need visas. Most places we can just, if we do need a visa, we get it on demand. Hi, I'm an American. Hi, I'm a Canadian. Okay, pay your $30. Here's your visa. Like, so many people would die to be able to have the privilege of actually being able to have a passport like that. So go for it. Go for it. There's nothing more exciting. I thrive off of that experience of being dropped into a country. I've been to some like really remote places through Africa, and anywhere you drop in India, like, you don't speak the language, you can't read the language, you're on the subway trying to figure it's awesome, right? You have to, like, it puts in perspective how great your life is, like, at home, and all the amenities we have access to as North Americans, on so many different levels. So get a passport, go for it.
What is your favorite country that you've been to?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't narrow it down. I traveled a lot with Arnold on the tours as well, and we had the opportunity to see some really cool places. I competed in South Africa with him, and then jumped on to Namibia, which was really wild. I went sandboarding in the desert there. Tanzania, Uganda, I did the gorillas in Uganda. These are some epic adventures. Magic. Thailand, the Buddhist culture, and the Thai food. Oh my gosh. Just, I've had, like, I couldn't say. Those are some that.
How about this?
Jump out at me.
How about this? What is the worst country that you've ever been to? Like, you did not like it at all.
Again, I always find something in that country.
Come on, there has to be one country that you're like, get me out of here.
Well, no, I did 6 weeks in India. I went out on a volunteer dental project, actually. So I started, and by the time I left India, like, I did it hard too. Like, I would travel India and probably like every 2 weeks I would get a place with like air conditioning and a hot shower. Like, I did India hard. And when I left there, I was like, get me out. Like, I was done. I was done. infused every single thing out of the culture that I could. I was just like, my hands were so stained. I'll never forget looking at my hands on the plane, and they were just like all stained with curry from eating with my hands. Oh my gosh, it was. And I looked at the passport. Actually, it was a huge epiphany for me sitting on the flight that day, looking at my passport, and I had a moment because there were so many like people I had connected with there, and children when I was doing volunteer work that had reached out, like, just take me home with you, bring me back, bring me to Canada with you. You know, I can cook. And I was, oh my God, like this is, and just that appreciation for like, I have this Canadian passport. Like, this is my, like, I was born into just having this is a privilege. It was a next level experience. So as much as like, I can never say I hated India, but I was ready to go. But India taught me some of the most valuable life lessons, gratitude, humility, a basic appreciation for water and food, like those kinds of things. Another level, space, like the way people live, how close, like where you feel like you can't breathe. Like I remember I was trying to go for a run. I got to Goa on the beach. I was like, great, I can go for a run. And back then we had iPods with so you stick, and I'm trying to run and there's nowhere, literally that was what I blogged about, nowhere to run. Like things we don't even think about as Canadians, Americans, right? That type of, how could you live that way? So travel, guys, valuable.
No, absolutely. That's an incredible lesson right there, because sometimes it takes people to see the other side of things to realize what they have, and people just take it for granted, like even with this COVID situation, yes, we may be on stay-at-home order, but we have Zoom, right? We have air conditioning, we have our cell phones and Netflix, and some parts of the world, they don't have that stuff, So
totally.
It's gratitude. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that's also, it drips into your mindset every day. Like when you wake up with that winning mindset, and that's something I talk about a lot on my Instagram, and I talk to my clients about, like, you can choose to win in life every day, or you can choose to be defeated. And those experiences actually, like, how am I not winning in life every day, right? Where you really start, like you said, you're grateful, just tapping into gratitude for those basic things you have. Every day you wake up, like, the things that make our days not great. Oh, I got a flat tire today, where, like, come on, right? It really shakes things up and it puts it into perspective. And I mean, I can't wait every single day in my life. I fly out of bed. I can't wait to get up and make an impact in that day. And travel has definitely influenced the way I think about my days and how I coach my clients.
Ryall, let's talk about one of the most challenging times that you had to go through during your career. Like, if you took a look back at your professional fitness career specifically, every career has ups and downs, and it's a roller coaster to success. But what was like one of the toughest times for you where you were like, whoa, like, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if there was one?
Right. No, there were several. The one that actually jumps out at me the most was it was about halfway into my career, and I went through a painful divorce, and it was it was the divorce at the time I did not want. And it was full of betrayal. And at that point, my athletic career was on the up and business was going great. I was happy, loving my life. But my whole world fell apart personally. So from the outside in, it looked like I was just crushing it and things were going well. And I was devastated. I mean, the way that I was living and how I was having to continue to persevere through the darkness and the pain. And fitness actually became my light. Fitness was my tool to get up every day and have a goal. And I signed contracts. I was like, I will compete in Brazil. I will compete in Toronto. Like, I'm going to stay focused and stay committed. I really isolated myself. I didn't have much of a social life at all. I just focused on competing. And this was the first time I won a competition. In 2013, I won the Arnold Brazil. and in Rio de Janeiro. And I had a massive breakthrough, epiphany moment, like where that moment changed my life. In the middle of this dark, dark, dark time, I was suffering so much personally. I invest all my energy, all my passion, all my focus into showing up. And I was always there to win. In my head, it wasn't like, oh, I hope I get ninth place. I was like, I'm going to bring my best and I'm here to win and I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to enjoy this entire experience. And I won. I won. I never placed higher than maybe fourth or fifth at a competition. And I went back to back. I flew from Brazil. I went to Toronto and I competed in Toronto and I won again. And then I flew back to Barbados and I moved out. I moved all my things. Like, this was really in the middle of all of this darkness. Massive, like, that was it. I was ignited, and the lessons that were learned in that dark time, and a husband at the time that was saying, like, you'll never make it without me. You'll be back in the dental hygiene world in Canada. Have a nice life. And having someone that believed in me so much in the beginning actually just try to blow me up. And that actually ignited me more. That motivated me more. And then when I won, it was like my career from that point on, I invested everything in it, and it just, boom, it took off. So you can't quit. I mean, I feel honest, every single obstacle that is being thrown at us is an opportunity for growth. It's a massive opportunity. And the harder that it is, the more pain you feel, like the suffering. I mean, it was bad. And that was when I actually achieved, like, my greatest achievements ever came to be. So we can't quit. The resilience that was developed from me going through that, like, nothing else in my life has actually shaken me since then, because that shook me. Like, that's when I was like, I will never let another human being, not that I wasn't capable of, like, loving someone again, but I will never let someone else ever in my life or any experience actually do this to me again. Like, that's how devastated I was. Like, it took me that long to work through that. And I got strong, I got resilient, I empowered so many women through that experience as well. And I'm so thankful for that divorce.
Yeah. I mean, it's always easy for us to look back, and obviously you're out of those times right now. So it's easy, it's easy for us to look back on our tough times and say, well, we made it, yada, 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 and here's what we took from it. But when we're going through it, it's like end of the world, like the emotions, like the physical effects of those tough times, those hard times. It's hard for a lot of people to continue to push through and be resilient, especially if they don't have something like you had. Like, you had fitness, but not everybody has their thing. So what advice would you give to people that they don't have their thing yet, right? And they're going through a tough time and a dark place, and they don't have a vice?
I think, no, that's an awesome question. I was very thankful at that time for fitness. Ours was another level too. Like, we had to get our body fat percentage under 5% to step on stage. So for anyone who doesn't know the sport that I did professionally for 12 years, it's like we have a physique round where you're just shredded and you have your muscles, you're lean. And then we have a fitness routine where we have to do strength moves and gymnastics. It's like a gymnastics routine on Red Bull, being that lean for 2 minutes. So then we're scored on. That's how our scoring is broken down. So this was like, this was next level mentally. Like, you can't go have a donut. You can't go have a burger or pizza, because you're going through a divorce. Like, it is game time. I honestly, this is where fitness for me, when you're going through a hard time, what is the one thing you can control? The only thing, it's yourself. Like, ultimately finding your passion or doing something that's positive or productive for you. What I put in my body and getting up every day and going and exercising and feeling good about myself. Like, if you haven't embarked on your fitness journey, this is an incredible time just to get started. If fitness isn't your thing, it's an incredible opportunity for a fresh self-discovery too. Like, what we all have things we wish we had time for that we want to do. Make it happen. Go for it. Throw yourself in and stay positive and stay distracted through those pain points, but I think fitness and nutrition, I mean, I got to say, Ross, it's so, how empowering was that to be going through a painful divorce, husband's leaving, there's a brand new woman coming in, and I am like in the best shape at the, feeling amazing, looking amazing, not feel, but I'm competing globally and I'm crushing it with my own career, and I'm not eating myself into a 30-pound weight gain where, you go into this deep, dark depression. Sure, I was in a depression, but I was actually taking control of what I could in my life at that time.
You got to become the best version of yourself, basically, right?
Yeah, we all have our, like, don't get me wrong. There were days where I didn't train, and I wasn't that version, and I just needed to stay in bed. But then the next day I was like, all right, it's go time. I'm not resting again today. Like, hold yourself accountable to that. And I really encourage, I've worked with, that story has actually brought me to a lot of women that have massive pain points and are suffering. And I've been able to successfully infuse, fitness and nutrition into their lives and create a strategy for them that they win. And that is, some of them have come out to my my international retreats. And it's so empowering to see, like, for me to see the confidence that comes from this type of transformation that's so much deeper than I just lost 30 pounds, right? Or I wanted to put on some muscle and get strong. It's like, I got out of an abusive relationship, or, whatever that pain point was, where I've helped them empower themselves through fitness and nutrition, and to come out rocking those skinny jeans and, all that confidence and that attitude. Like, that's why I do what I do. I mean, I just get goosebumps because I went through that. I had that partner that was like, you're never going to make it without me. Like, you're pathetic. And watch me. And that's where fitness and nutrition, it's absolutely changed my life. It's become a metaphor, like this healthy lifestyle of how I live. It's become a metaphor of how I live my life. And there's nothing more rewarding for me than being able to impact someone's life positively like that.
Awesome stuff. So let's talk about what you're currently doing. So you retired from competing. That part of your career is over. And now you're focused on helping people get healthy, live better lives, and pursue careers in bodybuilding as well, I would assume?
Some of them. Most of the athletes I coach, I have a handful, like I only coach 15 people at once on my team because of the type of work that I do. There's a lot of one-on-one work, phone calls, and strategies, right? It's not just, I want a meal plan, I want a diet, and I want a training program. It's like, well, what's going to work for you? Like your lifestyle. Like, Ross, I know you're a new dad, you have a beautiful baby girl, you are busy. I'm going to have to get to know you, right? I want to get to know everything about what time do you get up? What's your, what window do you have to train? Let's talk about your dietary lifestyle. Do you know how to food prep? And then creating strategies to help them manage. A lot of my clients are corporate, very busy people that feel like they're killing it professionally, but then personally, their health goals are in the backseat of their life. And those are people that are power people. How can they be failing like that? So creating really successful scheduling strategies, goals. And then I also, I do that one-on-one with clients. I also have fitness retreats or getaways. I call them Ryall Fitness Getaway. And that's where I have clients come in and work with me in person in a small group setting. So it's kind of like a mastermind next level, only 6 people, very intensive, very personal. And it's all part of that entire experience of leveling up in your life, in your entire life, taking control, getting out of the backseat of your life and getting into the driver's seat of your life. One of those events a year I do is for athletes that compete in my division. And that's my opportunity. I bring in coaches. I have all kinds of amazing, talented people that I work with on my team. And we specifically coach that group of 12 athletes for that sport. But the other events are, I've got Jordan on the lineup for 2021. I'm on Jordan. I've got Tulum, Mexico, Cancun, Mexico. I'll be heading to Bali in the fall 2021 because it's all been canceled, postponed this year. And it's a luxury experience as well. You know, you stay in great villas and we do live cooking and literally all aspects of living a healthy lifestyle and your mindset. You know, you got to be dialed in here. Are covered. It's the full submersion, the full Monty.
I love it. So no fast food during these. When was the last time you've had fast food? Out of curiosity.
You know what? I am a huge burger fan. I love, but not a greasy burger, Ross. Like, it can't be a McDonald's burger. It's got to be like a good quality, you know, beef burger. So that actually happens every Saturday.
Okay. All right. So actually, it's not all training days. Like, you do have your burger days. I like it.
Totally. I mean, and that's also dripped into my coaching philosophy too. Balance, moderation. Hey, having a glass of wine, the drinks. I mean, it's just about empowering yourself with the knowledge, right? Like, it's never a diet. There's no right or wrong way to do something. It's about establishing a dietary lifestyle for you that really works, and a fitness lifestyle, right? This has to work for you. And when you slip and slide from that, you feel horrible. So when you can really connect to the deeper purpose of why you're doing something, I mean, you're never going to maintain it. If it's like, I want to rock my 6-pack for the beach in August, if that's your only goal and you're not connected to how amazing you're feeling or those deeper reasons of your health, maybe, you know, being a healthy dad and watching your daughter thrive, you know, being a badass grandpa, all of these things. Like, if there's not that deeper connection to why you're doing it, it fails. And those are the clients I actually love to get. Those are the clients I love to help. Are the clients that have had the fails. Like, I'm tired of the fast fix. I'm tired of like the diet. Teach me how to eat, how to learn. How can I see you going out every Saturday or whatever, and you eat burgers and ice cream. Like, how do you do that? You know, so it's really having the knowledge. And my philosophy is so much more based on teaching you versus telling you or instructing you. And that's changed. In the beginning, I used to instruct. You know, when I first started as a coach, I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the experience. So I'm like, okay, here you go. Here's your meal plan. Here's your training program. And I wouldn't actually dive in. And if you're building a house on quicksand, it's going to fall apart. So we have to start with the foundation, right? And work up with the daily habits.
I love it. Awesome stuff. Now, Ryall, there's going to be a lot of people that want to connect with you. Right? They're going to want to hit you up, check out your programs, check out your work. What's the best place for them to do that?
Absolutely. I hope all of you want to connect. Instagram, Ryall Fitness, Ryall Fitness. Facebook, same thing. And my website, ryallgraber.com. So you can check me out. I've got a great blog that I'm dropping all kinds of content on recipes and healthy lifestyle and mindset. Every day I'm on my stories. I'm committed to showing up for my followers and making an impact, you know? So even if you're not looking to hire a coach, please jump on and check me out, because I promise I will be dripping positivity into your life every single day.
I love it. And I ask every guest the same question, and I'd like to extend that to you, if that's okay.
Please do.
All
yes.
Right. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. In your entire life so far, what has been the absolute best advice that you've ever received?
Oh, don't quit. Don't quit. You can't quit on yourself. How many times we want to quit, and you can't quit. Even times where I thought, I'm quitting, I'm throwing in the towel, this is it. You just can't quit. What lies within you is so much greater than what lies in front of you, and you can't quit. Commit to knowing that you're in a massive growth opportunity right now, and the resilience that you're developing. This is stuff that's going to take you above and beyond in your life, personally, professionally. Don't ever quit on yourself.
Don't quit. Great advice. Simple, powerful. Now, Ryall, I'm going to hit you up when I'm down in Cancun, so don't act like you don't know me, all right? I'm gonna come
you know, I'm gonna take you on a fitness / fiesta. We'll arrange a special tour for you.
Ooh, I love it. Hey, I'm booking the flight as soon as this stuff is over. I'll be down there. Ryall, it was a pleasure to have you. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks so much, Ross.
All right.